Hello, welcome to IDDTalks here at ADA University. My name is Anastasia Larina. In this episode, we are going to talk about the recently held summit, China Central Asia, which was held in Astana, Kazakhstan. China's perspectives and the interest in the development of One Belt, One Road, the Middle Corridor, the role of the South Caucasus, particularly Azerbaijan. Joining me now from Hong Kong, China, is Mr. Andrew Leung, who is an international independent China strategist. Warm welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So what do you see as the most significant outcome of the second China Central Asia Summit in Astana, symbolically and strategically?
Well, this comes at a time when the whole world has been upended by President Trump's iconoclasm, casting the long-established liberal order governed by well-accepted rules. He's replacing this with winner-takes-all rules of the jungle. And that is quite threatening to a number of countries which are not as powerful as the big powers, especially those in the developing world, in the Global South. So that's the first point. So this particular summit comes at a very historical paradigm shift moment. Secondly, of course, the Central Asia always occupies a very important strategic position in Central Asia, because the Central Asia is at the heart of the Eurasian continent. And now, and historically, it connects the East with the West, with the rest of Europe, with the rest of Eurasia. Particularly now, after the launch of China's Belt and Road Initiative. So this sits at the a key area where the Belt and Road Initiative, or a lot of the projects, either passing through or they involve some of the Central Asian countries. The third dimension that is important is because actually the landlocked Central Asian countries are actually quite rich. They're very rich in resources, in minerals, and some like Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan, they're very rich in water resources, apart from oil, gas, minerals, precious metals, gold, but why are these countries still backward? It is because they lack the kind of transportation facilities, because these are landlocked countries. They do not have access to the sea, and they only rely on the road transport. And road transport has been, of course, very difficult with the kind of terrain. But with the Belt and Road Initiative, with freight trains, direct trains connecting Central Asia and the parts of Europe to the most dynamic cities or towns in China, of course, changes the transportation game, because it's even shorter than by the sea route going through the Suez Canal and various other places. So these high-speed transportation corridors are very important. So this summit comes at a time when with these three important dimensions are now coming into play, when the whole world has now been upended, where even American traditional allies are trying to recalibrate the relationship with the Global South, with China, even though they are not on all fours with China, either ideologically or politically or geopolitically, but compare with the United States under President Trump, China at least is a strong supporter of the international free trade, liberal trade order. And after all, China is the second largest economy in the world, and it needs all the resources to drive its economy and to drive its manufacturing powerhouse. And of course, China is now the world's largest and manufacturer in the world by far, because over the years, the manufacturing processes in the West have been outsourced to the developing world, particularly China, with the result that now the chicken is now coming home to roost, and they realize that they just can't rely on finance alone, because the kind of blue collar jobs required a manufacturing base, and also certain key key components or even key minerals required the development of sophisticated processes. And these elements are increasingly important in the fourth and fifth industrial revolution, requiring, for example, even some of the high-end semiconductor chips and the most advanced telecommunication equipment have these minerals embedded on them. And of course, Central Asia is very rich in minerals, but they need the connectivity. They need the transportation routes. They need the trade connections with the largest manufacturer in the world and the second largest economy, and that is China. Hence, the importance of this summit.
Mr. Leung, it's quite clear that China has a huge interest in the promotion and development, the construction of One Belt and Road. As a part of this project, Middle Corridor is also being sustained by China, the transport route which will connect China, Central Asia, South Caucasus, then Turkey and Europe. So the Middle Corridor was also highlighted during this Central Asia-China summit. How does China evaluate the corridor's competitiveness compared to the other existing routes?
Well, the Middle Corridor, of course, has been developing quite rapidly in recent years and months, particularly because of the trauma resulting from the Ukraine war, with the war going on, and then trade needs to continue. And so the Middle Corridor, transiting areas outside Russia, and then through Turkey, and connecting with the Central Asian countries to certain parts in Europe, represents a relatively safer kind of conduit for international trade. However, there remain problems, and because the Middle Corridor passes through different countries, there are difficulties in synchronizing their customs requirements and the customs formalities, and also some of the rail transport links. They are not as smooth because the gauge, the width of some of the railways do not really always tally, and then as goods have to transit along one particular railway line and have to be reloaded and through customs, and then that takes a lot of time. So I think that all these interruptions and inefficiencies need to be addressed to realize the full potential of the Middle Corridor.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess we have to continue talking about the Middle Corridor that's playing a very, very important role for the mentioned countries. And the role of Azerbaijan, the country in the South Caucasus, taking into account the growing strategic partnership between Azerbaijan and China. How crucial is Azerbaijan's role in the Middle Corridors from the China's perspectives? And before you start answering, what does the launch of the new cargo route from China to Azerbaijan via Turkmenbashi port signal about China's evolving transport priorities in Eurasia?
Well, of course, Azerbaijan is also a very important country in Central Asia. is outside the traditional the 5 landlocked countries which form the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. But of course, it is closely connected with them. And I think that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is taking on increasing importance in the upended world, with some countries wanting to join. But on the other hand, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, of course, is concentrating on that part of Eurasia. But I think Azerbaijan is well positioned because of its foreign policy. It's not forming a fixed bloc with any country. It is pursuing a more independent path of engagement with United States, engagement with the West, engagement with Russia, engagement with China. So I think that this is a very good way to be able to be open to all the other connections.
That's right, absolutely. So, Mr. Leung, thank you. Thank you so much for joining IDD Talks.
Thank you.